Hello, Great Hearts, Texas family, faculty, and staff. Welcome to our series on championing our great-hearted Texas leaders. My name is Curtis Indorf. I'm honored to serve as the interim superintendent for Great Hearts, Texas. I'm here in Great Hearts Forest Heights Upper School with Headmaster Gustowski to talk with him about the amazing school and community that he leads. Mr. Gustowski, tell us about Great Hearts Forest Heights Upper School and what brought you to this organization.
Currently, logistically, we are a 6 through 10 upper school, and over the next 2 years, we'll have 11th and 12th graders, and everyone's excited to have that first graduating class. Yeah. The other question is very intriguing because I think a lot of families it resonates with. I was brought to Great Hearts because I was looking for school options for my kid. Mm-hmm. My oldest son, he was ready to go into 5th grade, but we heard about Great Hearts through a friend of a friend of a friend, and we ended up getting a campus tour. And through that tour, the headmaster really spoke to us. And the things that resonated with my wife and I were not only desire to grow his intellect, but to grow his heart and to point him towards the good things, right? We call this soul formation, point him towards things that we felt were good. And even if we didn't feel they were good, there was a concept of we want to explore these things.
Excellent.
Right? We're interested in molding the kids' morality.
So many of our faculty come to us from their children, right? Their kids get into our school, they come and they start volunteering. Volunteering turns into being an apprentice teacher, turns into a teacher, so on and so forth. So I love hearing that journey for you and your family. On school tours, I imagine parents ask you the question, Great Hearts is a classical school model. Yeah. And the question comes up, what is classical? How do you answer that? How do you explain what a classical school is?
Yeah, that is the question, right? That's a big question. I tend to look at classical schooling as it's funny how it's almost innovative now. It's it's a trend. It's catching on. But to put it simply, it's not to sound too flippant about it. It's good old fashioned learning. Yeah. Right. And we go back to the basics. For example, if we want to learn about the Constitution, let's look at a primary source, right? Let's look at the people that wrote it. Where did these ideas of democracy come from? Where did these ideas of capitalism come from? Well, let's examine them, right? And we go to the source. The sources are difficult. They're written differently, but with the help of a teacher and if we with the help of our friends, our classmates, we can get through it, right? And then we can have our understanding of the original text. So I think classical is to ground us in the original works. The second part is our pedagogy, right? Like this is one big conversation. Yes, there are right answers, but we don't give right answers. We work through it. So our teachers are tasked with how do you get dialogue? How do you get, we call it, Socratic questioning. It's really just good sound pedagogy. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the thing, right? The thing is interesting that we're looking at. Let's look at it together. Let's look at it from all sides, and let's talk about it. So it's what we look at, and then our pedagogy, like how we teach it.
I loved how you talk about primary sources, right? Putting the original document, right? The original ideas in front of kids to grapple with, and how we do that is through seminar. What are some of those primary sources that kids grapple with at the upper school level?
The Federalist Papers, for example, comes to mind. Examining somebody's interpretation, because the end game for some may be, well, what is the primary argument? And then how did that form the Constitution? Mm-hmm. Well, yes, that's important, but let's look at their own words. Well, I don't want my students to think that it is because it's just common knowledge. Yeah. Right. So we go back and look at it. And we examine it, we talk about it. And yes, we come to the same conclusions, right? Like why this form of government is best for the freest people. Yeah. But my students know where it came from. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that's just one example.
There's such a depth to understanding the actual words and philosophies that undergird the writing and the creation of our country as compared to a surface level summary of those concepts.
Yep. And we hire teachers that are genuinely interested about it. Yeah. Right. Like they get excited that they get to examine the Constitution and the Federalist Papers. It's fun for them.
It is.
Right? And then that energy transfers to the students. So At first glance, if you look at our books, they're heavy, they're hefty. It's a lot of reading, and you may wonder, how can my kid get through this? But with the enthusiasm of our teachers, it's where the magic happens.
Their passion brings the text to life in a beautiful way.
Absolutely.
So building off of that, we have teachers who are really passionate about the content and the curriculum. What is one of your favorite parts of our curriculum?
Oh, it's the books. Yeah, our classics.
Tell me more.
Right. Well, so again, if you were trained in this curriculum or brought up reading these books, it'll resonate with you easier. Like, oh yeah, these are accessible. For a lot of people, these books are not accessible, right? Especially a lot of students. The language could be old, it could be cumbersome. It happened in a time period that they don't understand.
Yeah.
But to watch a student work through, I'll use literature, work through a piece of literature together with the guidance of a teacher, all of a sudden they enter into a world that they thought was inaccessible, right? That's exciting, right? It's like decoding a language. And then the real fascinating thing is, in these old books, they see that human beings haven't changed that much, right? And that is pure joy to watch a teacher talk about a piece of literature and see if they can connect to it.
That's great.
And 99.9% of the time, they connect to it.
We have our curriculum and our mission. Those things really shape our culture.
Yeah.
And so what does the culture look like at an upper school, at your school here? And what kind of traditions and practices might someone see within Great Hearts Forest Heights Upper School?
The culture. We talk about students getting enveloped into the culture.
Mm-hmm.
We can feel it. We can see it. We know it as educators. We can walk into a room and see it, right? So to me, what that culture is, first and foremost, in the classroom, the ability to focus on a thing, right? The interesting thing that we call our curriculum. Mm-hmm. And so we share that together. We look at it. We examine it. We create habits of excellence that allow our students to stay focused on the thing. So our classrooms are where it's at, right? Yeah. And so, boom, the bell rings, kids walking in the hall. That does translate into the hallways.
Yes.
Right? And so how does it, parents ask me, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if you watch our students, right, they have purpose, but they have joy, and they keep talking, right? Yeah. They're just kids.
Let's linger on this hallway classroom, but this transition, right? Yeah. Like in a lot of schools, hall transitions are fairly chaotic moments of time, but we create a culture where there's hustle, right? But there's also joy and respect, right? And so what does that look like in a transition moment?
Well, it's heartwarming, right? It really is. Because we ask them to talk so much, I really do feel that they know each other, right? They don't know each other because of their hairstyles or what they're wearing, but they know each other by what they say, right? And what they think and how they act. So in the hallways, they're just themselves, right? And they know each other. And we do have I really like the concept of having much older kids, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders in a building with 6th graders, right? Yeah. Right? We have a climate in our upper school that they realize they're the leaders. It doesn't carry with it any arrogance. It carries with it like a excited responsibility. Yeah. And so we find opportunities to have them intermingle just in the hallways, right? But at the same time, each grade level has their own culture, the way we structured our classrooms and their placement.
What kind of traditions are there at Forest Heights Upper?
Yeah, so this is the real fun part of having a new school, right? Of rolling out a new school. It is driven a lot by our students. Right now, we've been fortunate enough to have a ton of interest in sports, right? We have a beautiful gym. We have a successful sports program, and I don't just mean wins and losses, right? There's a real spiritedness in the program. That's right. The thumos. We are leaning into what does it mean to compete and what does it mean to compete together, right? And that has, even if you're not an athlete, we're creating opportunities around that for others to participate in, right? Whether it be through a cheer club. I have students just about every week asking for different things to get started, and we're getting there, right? Pep rallies have become a big focal point. End of the quarter or end of a season, pep rally. Students look forward to it. It's a lot of fun. Hallways get
I
decorated.
love it.
Yeah, they get to wear Spirit Day shirts. One thing that we really can focus on, and one thing that we're gaining momentum towards, is our fine arts program. Right? We're lucky enough to have sister schools around us that have led the way with some really robust fine arts programs. And I can feel that we're on the verge, that we have interest. And I see that as a trajectory for our campus.
I love that. It's part of the liberal arts education,
Absolutely.
the whole child education.
Yep.
Mr. Gustowski, how does our mission, model, and culture all put together help students form into great-hearted young men and women?
I think about this a lot, right? Because that's the end game. When kids leave here, K-12, even if they leave earlier, hopefully they're getting formed in a way that we believe is good. But all things point towards their affections, what they find good, what is worthy of being called good. And hopefully their experience here, examining whether or not something is good or bad, having that conversation. Over time, we hope that shaping of them, they see it as normal.
Yeah.
These students in these hallways, they have no idea the wonderful, beautiful habits that they have. They don't. And if they've been here for a year, 2 years, 3 years, the longer they're here, the more their habits, the more their affections are shaped towards good things, the less they're aware of it.
Yeah.
And that's a really fun thing to see. It's noticeable, and when we have activities outside our campus, our kids they're just being themselves, but you can see a difference.
Yeah.
You can really see a difference. So our mission, our culture, all these things are trying to shape the students intellectually and their heart.
Yeah.
Right? Try and find good things, and we help them discover those good things.
Great Hearts Forest Heights has been here for 5 years. It's no longer one of the new schools in San Antonio. It is a mature and still growing school. What is one of the unique elements of this academy?
We're close to the medical center. We're close to USAA, and those are kind of two big landmarks in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
We're right down the road from UTSA on I-10. And what you get here is a real good mix. Right outside our windows, we have apartments that were built 6-7 years ago. Across the other side of our campus, we're located within a neighborhood where we have these old homes on acreage, big old homes. Our community is very diverse. And in San Antonio, when you say diverse, you may think one thing, but we have over 30 languages spoken at home on this campus, 30 different languages. So that culture, it really is unique.
Yeah.
So we can't form ourselves around one particular culture. It really elevates everyone to form themselves around a Great Hearts culture because we are so different. I think that's a very unique aspect.
Yeah. Great Hearts, the culture, the mission, the Western tradition can be unifying.
Correct.
And something that everyone partakes in.
Correct.
Headmaster Gustowski, thank you so much for your time today and for talking with me and with us about Great Hearts Forest Heights Upper School and how our mission comes to life here on your campus.
Yeah.
Great Hearts Texas family, faculty, and staff, thank you for joining us here today as we visit with Headmaster Gustowski at Great Hearts Forest Heights Upper School. Join me as we continue to go to the schools across our state and champion our great-hearted Texas leaders. Thank you.